So it's time to get started with Cursor. So head now to cursor.com and download Cursor and just start it up. We're gonna continue from there. So this is how the Cursor interface looks like. You've got normal VS Code interface plus some AI features like chat or composer, and we're gonna cover those later on. For now, let me see some config options. So inside the settings menu, you'd like to go to Cursor settings. You also have the Visual Studio Code settings, but this you can configure however you want. You will configure font, theme, things of this nature there. Let's jump to Cursor settings. In the general settings, you see rules for AI. This would be a generic prompt that will be appended to every single prompt that you send through the Cursor tools to the large language models. And let me show you a diagram to illustrate that. So what Cursor really sends to large language models would be this general prompt, and this prompt just needs to tell Cursor what do you expect, how it needs to respond, and how it needs to proceed. We're gonna go back to this general prompt. Then you might have some project-specific prompt, which will contain some instructions and knowledge about a specific project. Maybe you would like to use some specific standards. Maybe you'd like code to be written in a specific way. So this is where it goes. And then you've got the actual prompt. So you need to be wary of the context window size. It's different for different models, but all this together is being sent to those large language models. So now back to my general prompt. The job of this prompt is to make Cursor and the underlying large language models as effective as possible with the job. You need to remember that those models weren't trained on coding only, they were trained on general knowledge, so we need to be very specific about what do we want here and what we don't know. So where did I get this generic prompt? Well, I found it on X and apparently it has worked for a lot of people. I also find it pretty useful, and this is a prompt that one of the authors of the Cursor editor itself is using, so I think it's pretty good. You can copy and paste this prompt from the link under this video, and then you can customize it however you see fit. Next up, we've got this project-specific prompt. So when you will have a project, which we are gonna create in this course, you will have a file that's called .cursor rules. You will keep it as a part of the project where you're gonna put instructions that are specific to that project, maybe how you want things done, but we're gonna build this file as we go and we're gonna add to it. So next up, how does Cursor use the AI models? Well, you've got two options essentially. So those models are not local, they need to be used through an API, through the provider. And you've got options like paying for the Pro account, which is what I suggest. It is around $20 a month. Another option is to just use individual model API keys. So in this Models tab, you can select which models should be used in Cursor, and then you can go to the websites of the respective providers like OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, or Azure, and you can grab the API key, paste it into the respective input, and using this button, you're gonna enable the model. So if you just want to use an API key and a custom model, I recommend using Claude from Anthropic, but as I've said, generically, I recommend at least starting out with this Pro account. Next up, let's see some features that you can configure. Cursor tab is something that will try to predict what are you trying to write inside the code editor. So it's not like those tools where you talk about your code and let Cursor do things instead. This is something that helps you type by predicting what you're gonna write next, and then it will suggest some code that you can accept or ignore. So I'll let you explore those options on your own later on. For now, let's get going. So I suggest just using this Pro version of Cursor, but obviously it's up to you. Finally, what I'd like to mention is actually there are websites where you can find more prompts that might be specific to what you are building. For example, you can find prompts that you can customize maybe per project, or also put this into general Cursor settings for TypeScript, for React, Next.js, PHP, JavaScript, whatever there is. So I'm gonna give you a link to one of those websites under this video as well. Okay, I think that at this point you've got enough basic information about large language models, their limitations, and about Cursor. I think it's time to get going, so in the next video I'd already like us to be ready to be set up with either Cursor Pro or with any of the models, and we're gonna start creating some code.